Well, good morning, everyone. This is Curtis with Insurance Agency Marketing Services, and I want to thank you for taking some time with us today. We've got, in my opinion, a very unique, innovative product solution that we're going to talk about today that addresses, I think, a very common issue that a lot of consumers don't think about. So we've got some really good content for you today. Before getting into that, I did want to take a couple of minutes here at the beginning to talk about some of the additional ways that IAMS is here to add value to your practice. First up is our new producer builders. You can see there we've got a number of different point totals. When you first get contracted with us in your first 6 months, as you're producing business, you can qualify for a number of tiers of resources, whether that's marketing programs, credit design, trips, cash, you name it. And so the other thing I would mention to you as well is if there's something that you're doing that works really, really well for you and you want to insert that in here, give us a call. Number is 800-255-5055. In addition to that, we've got our IAMS Business Builders. First up is our Referred Producer Program. If you know an agent who maybe isn't quite happy with their current IMO relationship, or you feel like they might be a really good fit for us, send them our way. Not only will you get a bonus when that agent gets contracted, but then on an ongoing basis, you will get ongoing revenue off of their business. You don't have to provide any of the service. We'll take care of any of that, but it can be a great way to generate an additional revenue stream for you. In addition to that, we've got our marketing reimbursement program. For every $100,000 of qualifying indexed annuity premium, you can accrue $100. And then on the life insurance side, you can see there it is $200 for every $100,000 of single premium life, as well as $200 for every $10,000 of life target. And if you've got questions on that, feel free to reach out, talk to a sales director over here. That number is 800-255-5055. Back office support, back office support is something that IAMS was founded on 38 years ago. And whether it's on the front end, on the case design and illustrations to the new business processing, the team does an amazing job. And so I'd encourage you, if you haven't used that yet, that you definitely need to. In addition to that, we've got our IAMS portal, which is a wealth of resources. We've got a number of different quoting platforms on there to run quotes on annuities, life insurance, to access current rates. You can do e-applications on the platform. In addition to that, we've got our sales resource library, which is literally hundreds of point-of-sale pieces that you can instantly download right off of the website. And they cover a range of topics, from annuity basics and life basics to advanced markets and business insurance planning. So if you haven't spent time on there, I would definitely encourage you to take a look at it. You do just need to be contracted with us, which if you've got questions on doing that, reach out and talk to a sales director over here. That number is 800-255-5055. Taking a step further, we do integrate with 3 e-app platforms. You can see Firelight, iPipeline, and Sunfire. Firelight is going to cover the majority of the annuity carriers out there, as well as some of the life companies. iPipeline is going to be primarily on the life insurance side, and then Sunfire will be on the Medicare side. And just to give you an example of that here, I'll pull up Firelight, and you can see there that all of your major players on the annuity side are going to integrate with that platform. Creative marketing solutions. Well, creative really is, I think, the key word there. We've got an in-house creative team, and they do an absolutely amazing job. I think somebody's brand, especially their digital brand, is more important now than it's ever been before. And so one of the nice things, or the benefits of working with the IAMS team, is they just work specifically in the financial services space. And some of you maybe have used third-party firms in the past, and I think it's always a challenge trying to explain, what are annuities and life insurance and investments and how does that work and all of those things. You don't run into that with the creative team here. They are very well versed with the agent's business and can really create some very innovative pieces, whether it's web design, social, print marketing, etc. So if you've got questions around that, reach out, talk to a sales director over here. That number is 800-255-5055. We also have IAMS Wealth Management. We certainly have seeing growth, continued growth in the industry, where more and more advisors are looking toward incorporating AUM into their business. I'm going to go ahead and I'll launch our first poll here. But we founded this several years ago. We've seen consistent growth, and if you're an advisor out there and you're thinking about maybe adding AUM to your business, I would encourage you to check yes or reach out and talk to Duncan or Charles over there. They do a really good job. They're very detail oriented and are very, very focused on service and helping with that transition. Or if you're not currently happy with your current RIA relationship, then definitely give us a call. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. So I'll go ahead and get this poll closed down here. Life and Annuity Academies. So these are an amazing opportunity. Right now you're in the field working in your business, prospecting, marketing, dealing with carriers, etc. These Life and Annuity Academies are a great opportunity to spend some time working on your business. In fact, I'll go ahead and launch our second poll today, but you get a great opportunity to learn more about what are the current annuity trends, life trends, what are the most effective things when it comes to marketing and prospecting. We have top producers come in and present, and you get a whole pool of tangible items that you can go and immediately implement into your practice. We did announce the first date for our first academy this year. It is going to be May 15th through the 17th. You can access the registration page on the IMS portal. You can also check yes here, and then we can have a sales director reach out to you. But these events do fill up fast, so I'd encourage you, if you have interest, definitely reach out and talk to a sales director over here. So let me get that closed down here. Lastly, like and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We syndicate a lot of content out, whether it's on rates, marketing best practices, you name it. And so it's one of the quickest ways to get information about what's going on in the insurance space. So I will pause there. I'm going to go ahead and get this switched over here. So with us today, we've got Phil Graham, and he is here to talk about the Beneficiary Liquidity Plan. And I think what you're going to find as he goes through his presentation is that he has really created a very unique and innovative way to address an issue that every family is going to go through. And I think it gives a great opportunity to drive a lot of sales, to add value to your clients. And so with that, Phil, appreciate you taking some time with us, and I'll hand it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Curtis. Can you see my screen? Did that switch over okay?
It did, yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody, for having us today. And I want you to imagine for me, for a moment, that you're a recovering annuity addict. And you see a statistic, and you guys have all read the statistic, that there's somewhere between $70 and $100 trillion with a T that's going to be transferring hands, the great wealth transfer, over the next 20 years. Well, as a recovering annuity addict, I liked money in motion, and I got really excited with that statistic until I read the next statistic from wealthmanagement.com, and that's that 66% of beneficiaries will fire their parents' advisor immediately upon inheriting wealth. I went, uh-oh. This amazing opportunity of great wealth transfer could actually turn into a tragedy if we're not prepared properly. 66% of beneficiaries fire their parents' advisor. Well, I want to know why. Well, the easy answer is, and we've surveyed thousands of advisors, and you would probably agree, that you don't have a consistent process for connecting and building a relationship with the beneficiaries of your clients before your clients pass away. Could be geographic, beneficiaries live in another location. Could be demographic. Phil, I don't work with that age client, so I just don't have any time for that. Or you're just too busy, and it could be a combination of all three. But at the end of the day, I've yet to meet an advisor that has a consistent process to connect with all of their clients' beneficiaries. So that's a big part. But I also felt it had to be more than that. Beneficiaries are getting $500,000, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, whatever the number is. I was like, it's got to be more. And we dug deeper, and we truly believe it's the death claims process. Now let's talk about what happens when a client dies. Beneficiary calls your office, right? Hey, Phil, mom just passed. Almost every office says the same thing. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss. We love your mother. She was a great client. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. And almost immediately, the beneficiary says, either because they want it, need it, or a combination of both, they go, Phil, you were mom's advisor. We need money now. Sound familiar? Can any financial advisor get the family money immediately after the client passes away? No. What do you need to start the process other than a claim form? You need a death certificate. It's going to take weeks. We just had a client in Tennessee. It took 8 weeks to get the death certificate, and the insurance company was going to take another 20 business days to process the claim. Best case scenario, it's at least 30 days, more likely 45, 60, or 90 days before the family gets any money. I believe that when you compound the fact that you don't have a relationship with the fact you can't get them any money, that is the kiss of death for that money walking out the door the second they get it. Now, we pulled this right from the Texas Public Health and Human Services website. Every state's slightly different, but they're all in the same ballpark. It's 20 to 25 business days right now for electronic processing in the state of Texas. Now, here's an extreme example. Prince died April 21st, 2016, couple $100 million estate. And I realized we could have a separate conversation about his lack of estate planning. But for this conversation, let's talk about his liquidity for his family at death. Do you know who paid for Prince's funeral? And yes, it is a trick question because it was not his family. Surprise. They were waiting for him to die, but they didn't have any money. Was not his agent, was not the state of Minnesota, was the family friend, actor and comedian George Lopez gave Prince's family $20,000 to bury him. Why? Because they couldn't get to any money. Now, a couple of things sadden me about this. Number one, the first thing that comes to mind is $20,000 for a funeral for Prince. I don't know that is what Prince himself would have wanted. But I believe this happens every day in America. But instead of it being Prince and George Lopez, it's one of your clients passes away. One of the beneficiaries is deemed more successful by the other beneficiaries. They get stuck paying the bills. They never get reimbursed. And now Thanksgiving's awkward. And why I'm so passionate about this is the majority of the time there's money there that mom or dad thought the kids would be able to access, but they just didn't know. They would have never put this on their family. They didn't know it was a problem. So before we get into the solution, let's talk about the cost of dying. We do a lot of work with empathy.com. I encourage you to look them up. They focus on the physical, mental, and psychological health of people when their loved ones pass away. And they come out with a cost of dying report every year. Here's an interesting statistic from them. This is from the 2023 report. The average estate takes 12 and a half months to settle. If you watch my YouTube channel, we have an interview with an estate planning attorney, and we jokingly talk about who should be the executor of somebody's estate. And Craig, the estate planning attorney, laughs and says, whichever beneficiary you like the least, because it is a terrible job to be the executor. Let's not add financial burden on top of it. But guess what? People just don't understand, so we educate them. Now, the average cost of funeral in 2023 was $7,800. That's including average with cremation and traditional burial. Other expenses families are having are almost another $10,000. It's at least $17,000 for the average. That includes the low numbers with the high. It's about $20,000. Watch this. How did families pay for this? Oh, they used life insurance, they used annuities. No, they didn't. 79% paid out of pocket. And out of that, more than 50% went into debt. Let that sink in. They didn't have access to the inheritance, so they had to use their own money or go into debt. That is not what mom and dad wanted to happen. Now, to prove our point, less than 1 in 7 families had access to money. Now, where the majority of this comes from is 10% of the population dies with a prepaid and pre-planned funeral. But that leaves 90% that aren't going to go down to the funeral home and pick out their casket and pay for it in advance. We're targeting the 90%. Now, here's what people think is going to happen. And again, we've been doing this. This is the only thing we've been doing for 5 years. All day, every day. We know exactly what your clients are going to say. There's only so many things they can say. And here's what people think is going to happen. They go, Phil, I don't need a beneficiary liquidity plan because I have life insurance and annuities. Well, any of you that know me at all know that I absolutely love life insurance and annuities. Amazing tools. But unfortunately, when it comes to liquidity at death, they require a death certificate and a claims process and are not immediately available for your families to use. Doesn't work. Well, Phil, we went down to our local estate planning attorney, or my advisor helped me. We set up, our healthcare directive, our living trust, and our beneficiary, let's call him Johnny, is our successor trustee on our living trust. I love estate planning. And by the way, when clients do estate planning, I know they care about their family because you do estate planning for your family, not for you, because you'll be dead when they receive the benefits. Johnny's the successor trustee. What piece of paper does Johnny need to take to the attorney to start the process of becoming the successor trustee? A death certificate. Okay. So it's not immediately available. Does a lot of great things, but creating immediate liquidity is not one of them. Well, Phil, we went down to our bank, or we went to our RIA, and we set up all of our non-beneficiary accounts as TOD, POD, payable on death or transfer on death, which, by the way, I highly recommend because that avoids probate. But what piece of paper do you need to take to that financial institution to start the process as the beneficiary of transferring that money at death? You see a trend here? A death certificate. It's not immediately available, and there's a process. Avoids probate. Very important, but it does not create immediate liquidity to cover these expenses. This one really gets me worked up because I feel like it's missold a lot, but final expense insurance requires a death certificate, and even if they have a fast claims process, it's not immediately available. It's designed to reimburse somebody. It's not designed to actually pay the funeral cost immediately. And last but certainly not least, financial power of attorney that you set up while you were doing your estate plan works wonderfully for your power of attorney to be able to do things while you're alive. But unfortunately, it ends when you die and no longer exists or works. None of the things clients tell us actually work. But here's the good news. It doesn't cost you anything to fix the problem. Let that sink in for a second. You don't have to buy any more inheritance. Your family is going to get the same money whether you fix the problem or not. What my job is to help you determine What's the minimum dollar amount we think your family's going to need? That's one of the key words we'll train you on. What's the minimum that your family's going to need for that first 30, 45, 60, 90 days while your estate is in that vacuum period? Everything's frozen. What's the minimum they're going to need? And then we're going to help you determine where we're going to reallocate the dollars from. We're not buying, we're reallocating money you've already earmarked as inheritance into the beneficiary liquidity plan. So that now, on one of the worst days of your family's life, the day you pass away, we eliminated the immediate financial burden by giving your family access to money they were ultimately going to inherit anyways. So clients love the fact they don't have to come up with any additional money. If they're not leaving an inheritance, we can't help them. But guess what? The majority of your clients are planning on leaving something. We use, and here's the vehicle we use, a guaranteed issue, no health questions, single premium, fixed, whole life insurance contract with a 119-year-old A-rated mutual insurance company. It looks like a savings account. Don't think of it as a traditional leveraged life because there's no health questions. Looks like a savings account. The money grows tax deferred, passes tax free. The secret sauce: we have a patent pending on our death claims process. We pay out the claim in 24 to 48 hours without a death certificate. And by the way, we did this 68,000 times last year as an insurance company. We paid 68,000 claims in 2023 without a death certificate. There's no health questions. Name, address, social security number, date of birth, who's your beneficiaries. The only kick out is you can't be 91. Without approval, we can allocate up to 100,000. And we have an e-app that's super simple. You can do it over the phone, over Zoom, or in person. We've got the process locked down. The benefits of only doing one thing for 5 years. So kind of a summary. Mr. and Ms. Jones, you're already planning on leaving money to your beneficiaries, right? You're leaving an inheritance. And they go, well, yeah, I hope so. Great. We're not going to give them any more money, and we're not going to give them any less. They're going to get the same. But by setting up the beneficiary liquidity plan, we're going to provide them access to that predetermined dollar amount in 24 to 48 hours after you pass away without a death certificate. And that's going to eliminate that immediate financial burden, giving them access to money they were ultimately going to inherit anyways. And because we eliminate the death certificate, they get access 30, 60, 90 days faster. This truly is the final piece to the financial plan. Now, if you remember back at the beginning of the presentation, I talked about how advisors don't have a process to connecting with the beneficiary. So we trademarked our process called the Hero Bridge. We pay you to build the bridge to the inheriting generation, and it all starts when you deliver the policy. That's the perfect time to get introduced to the beneficiaries. Hey, Johnny, we put this together for you. This is 25 grand that you'll be able to access immediately when something happens to mom or dad. You know, you're going to need to call us first. Oh, by the way, mom and dad are such great clients. If there's ever anything we can do for you, even if it's to answer a 401k allocation question at work, please don't hesitate to call. We'd love to be of service. You add them to your email and mail communications. On our e-app, if the client marks okay, we will send an annual reminder on your behalf to the beneficiaries, reminding them that the plan is in place and to contact you directly for claims, questions, or any other financial needs. And then at death, you've been building this relationship. Instead of saying, sorry for your loss, let me know if there's anything we can do for you. Now, you can say, I'm sorry for your loss. Here's 25 grand, 50 grand, whatever the number is. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Go celebrate mom or dad. When things settle down, come into the office. We'll help you process the rest of the claims, get the money into your name, pay as little tax as possible. But for now, it's going to be okay. Here's some money. We just dramatically increase the probability of you maintaining those assets because you have a relationship and you have money by building the hero bridge, and we paid you to have the 15-minute conversation today to build the bridge. Now, you might be thinking, well, Phil, if you don't need a death certificate, how do you know I died? Well, remember, I said we already did this 68,000 times. Homesteaders Life is who we built the product with. I work for Homesteaders. Part of that is, in this country, whether you're being buried or cremated, you end up in front of a licensed funeral director. Everybody, 100%. Whether you're being buried or cremated, licensed funeral director. The funeral director tells us you died, essentially. Yep, I'm looking at Phil, he's dead. That's what we trigger to release the funds. We do that 60 to 70,000 times every single year. We're already doing that. So we have a patent pending on our exact process, but essentially the family can pick any funeral home in the country when you die. It's not assigned, it's not pre-chosen, they don't have to think about it, but the family shows up with money. The funeral director smiles ear to ear because one of the most difficult conversations they have with the family is, hey, who's going to pay? Because payments due before services are rendered. Because once they cremate you, there's no recourse to collect on the bill. So they want to get paid up front. So we pay the funeral director immediately. So in this example, if we had a $25,000 BLP, $15,000 would go to the funeral home immediately. Beneficiary agrees to that. The excess $10,000 would be ACH'd directly to the named beneficiary or beneficiary. So everybody gets their own money instantly. If the funeral's already paid for, the funeral home just tells us that the funeral's already been paid, and we release all the funds to the beneficiary. And we got more details on this on the training, but high level, this is how it works. Now, what does this mean for you, bottom line? In my 25 years in this business, our 5-question survey that we're going to go into and our small little $20,000, $25,000 policies generates more revenue per minute than anything I've seen in my 22 billion of annuity sales over that time. Our average case is 25,000. You can see right there, up through age 75, that's $2,500. Just one app a week is 130,000 of additional revenue. Even if you're writing 100% 80-year-olds, it's 6 figures approximately. Just one $25,000 client a week. So if you do more than that, you can crank the number up. If you do less than that, you can do the math on what that means. But our average conversation that you're having with your clients is about 15 minutes. You're making over $100 a minute to have these conversations with your existing clients, because we're not asking you to buy leads. We're asking you to use our 5-question survey with your existing clients. So here's our 2-step process. And again, we've perfected this over the last 5 years. We give you our 5-question survey, and you're going to come up with a list of 5 to 10 clients that you think would be a good fit. You're going to ask them to do the survey, and the survey is going to get them to admit they care about their family. It's going to get them to admit they don't want to be a burden. Guess what? You and I already know 99% of your clients care and don't want to be a burden, but I want them to say it. And then we ask them how much of the inheritance they'd want their family to access immediately. So you do our shortlist sprint, then you add it into your annual reviews and your existing clients. I'm not asking to see extra people. If you want to, that's great. But our goal is to monetize your existing clients and build that hero bridge to the beneficiaries. So the first 2 weeks, you come up with a list. You simply ask them, hey, Curtis, if I sent you a 5-question survey that took you like 2 minutes to check 5 boxes, could you do that for me? Sure, Phil. Great. I'd like to go ahead and schedule a follow-up call for maybe tomorrow about this same time. Would that be okay? Yes, great. I'll send you the Zoom link. That simple. We're not selling the survey. We're not getting into what it's about. We just want to ask them whether or not they'll do it. And the 5 questions are, have you prepaid for your funeral? Yes or no? I don't care what their answer is. It's a talking point. Is it important to you that your family has access to money to cover funeral expenses? Yes or no? What do you think everybody puts? Yes. Well, I'm not surprised, Curtis. I know you care about your family. Of course you want them to access money. Third question, is it important that your family has access to money to manage your other affairs when you pass away? And then the last two are my favorite. On a scale of 1 to 6, 6 being really important, how important is it to you that your final expenses are not a burden to your family when you pass away? Guess what? Nobody wants their final expenses to be a burden except for that 1% of people that don't care. And we're not going to help them anyways. And then the grand finale question, and it's worded to tee up the whole fact that they're not buying anything extra. And it's worded by saying, how much of the inheritance would you want your beneficiaries to access immediately after you die, assuming the average funeral is $15,000, additional fares are $10,000, and we give them dollar amounts? All you do is you walk through their answers with them. You hear them tell stories about problems families have had when loved ones passed away, right? We're confirming. I'm not surprised, Curtis. I know you don't want to be a burden. I'm not surprised, Curtis. I know you care about your family, right? Like we're validating their feelings, and then we get to that last question of how much of the inheritance. And heaven forbid, Mr. and Miss Jones, if something were to happen to you tomorrow, in your mind, how would your family access that $50,000 you checked immediately after you die? There's really only two things they can do: stare at you and say nothing, right? Y'all probably seen that look before. Or I actually hope they say, I have it figured out, in which case I say, great, tell me how. And they're going to go through one of those 8 things we went through earlier that we know don't work. We educate them on why that may not be the best option. And then the great news is it doesn't cost anything to fix the problem. And then we're right back into the script. I'm going to help you determine what's the minimum your family's going to need. Might be less than 50 grand. What's the minimum? And then I'm going to help you determine where we want to reallocate it from, because you don't have to buy more inheritance to fix the problem. So if you care about your family and you don't want to be a burden and it doesn't cost anything to fix it, why wouldn't you want to fix the problem for your family? And the only 2 reasons are they don't have any money, I can't fix that problem, or they don't like their beneficiaries, and I can't fix that either. So here's kind of next steps. IMES is one of the only distribution groups that have access to the product. This is probably one of the most limited distribution products on the market today. We have approximately 250 advisors by design. Because of my relationship with Curtis and some of the other execs at IMES, they're one of the few groups that has access. It's through Sure LC. You get contracted with Homesteaders Life. Through age 75, the commission's 10%. Our cases are smaller than traditional annuities, but it's easier, faster, and it's existing money. We fund a lot of our policies with 10% free withdrawals. We can use RMDs. We draft it from the client's checking. We can get into that in our advanced training. But get licensed with IMES, with Homesteaders. We'll get you set up. We'll register you for our digital playbook that has all of our training videos, all of our content, everything. You can go to our YouTube channel and watch some of our videos there too. But then it's imperative that you start coming up with a list of 5, 10 clients that you think would be good candidates for this. We'll brand our 5-question survey for you, and you simply have those clients check the 5 boxes. We'll even role play with you. We call it strategy call. When you get those answers back from your clients, let's role play with our team. We've done so many of these, tens of thousands of these surveys. We know we can role play with you. We know what clients are going to say. We got it all scripted out, both in video and print. We'll get you set up for an e-app where you can literally in minutes do the application, and then we layer it into your annual reviews. So Curtis, I will stop there. If we need to answer any questions that came in or next steps from your side.
Well, Phil, I appreciate you taking us through the deep dive on there. And I remember the first time you talked to me about this, because I'm a life insurance guy, annuity guy, and I guess I hadn't thought about that process. because I do a lot of life insurance planning, but there is definitely a capital crunch at the death of an individual, and I think a lot of consumers don't necessarily think about it. So I really like the opportunity that you've created with this. I'm going to go ahead and get our last poll here up. Get that launched. So, as Phil mentioned, a variety of different ways to get started. An additional simple way is if you want information on this product, the live sales team over here at IMES is going to be following up with reps, so just check the box there. And then, as Phil mentioned, they do integrate with your LC. So if you're working with IMES currently, you're already in that system. It's a really simple thing for us to flip that switch and get you access to this product. And the other thing too is you talked about this at the beginning, but I mean, this issue isn't going away. I mean, we're on the precipice of one of the biggest wealth transfer periods that we've ever seen, right?
It's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, all the baby boomers we've been writing annuities on for 25 years are all getting older and starting to die. That's the reality of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the opportunity is huge. It's just going to continue to grow. So in any case, well, Phil, appreciate you taking some time with us today. For all of you on the call, appreciate you taking some time as well, and hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Curtis.
Thanks.